Hello and welcome to News Hour. I am David Patrick Kamara. Coming up in this edition of News Hour, a 42-year-old man sentenced to 10 years in prison for sexually penetrating a 13-year-old girl. Distribution of free core textbook commences. And Chief Justice Desmond Edwards banned trading within the court premises. All these stories and more are lined up in this edition of News Hour. I'm David Patrick Kamara. Welcome back and thanks for joining us for our first story. 42-year-old Musa Kurma has been sentenced to 10 years in prison for sexually penetrating a 13-year-old girl. He was sentenced by Justice Sengu Kurma on Monday, 14th January 2019. Let's join our court reporter Aminash Nyande-Brahma.
Sexual penetration is becoming a national concern which the government is grappling with. It involves a review of the Sexual Penetration Act in terms of jail term. The Sexual Offences Act of 2012 states that the penalty for sexual penetration is but not exceeding 15 years in prison. A case before the court was that of a 42-year-old man, Musa Kurma, who was before the High Court on one-count charge of sexual penetration of a child, contrary to law. Evidence in court states that Musa Kurma on Friday, 28 July 2017, at 7th Battalion, Godrich, engaged in an act of sexual penetration with a 13-year-old girl. After the charge was read and explained to the accused, he pleaded guilty and begged for mercy. The defense counsel, Sonia Bobani Brown, in a plea in mitigation said the accused has learned his lesson, affirming that he did not waste the court's time by pleading guilty, which she urged the bench to take into consideration. She added that the victim was not a virgin at the time of the sexual penetration by the accused. Delivering his ruling, Justice Sengu Kurma noted that sexual offense is a serious crime which calls for an immediate custodial sentence to serve as a warning and lesson to others, to punish the offenders, and to protect young girls from sexual exploitation. Justice Sengu Kurma condemned the act by the accused, underscoring that this act is a serious offense that merits custodial sentence, considering the age of the victim, affirming that the act of the accused was a feast on deprived children. Justice Sengu Kurma dismissed the issue raised by the defense counsel that the victim was not a virgin at the time of the sexual penetration by the accused as not relevant. He sentenced Musa Kurma to 10 years in prison with time spent at the correctional service considered. His sentence, he went on, will send a strong message to the public and help reduce the offense. He further ordered for the mobile phone given to the victim by the convict to influence her into the offense be forfeited to the state. Lawyer Leighton R.D. Jones prosecuted the matter on behalf of the state, while Sonia Bobani Brown defended the convict Musa Kurma. SLBC News, Aminash Nyande-Brahma.
Telecommunications subscribers top up their phones to have maximum satisfaction by making calls, access social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp. In Sierra Leone, subscribers keep on complaining about poor internet services by service providers amidst the high tariff, which they also say is a huge financial burden. Some are even making comparative analysis with other neighboring countries like Guinea and Liberia. Irenius Thompson is a telecommunications expert. He has been speaking to Patrick Salia.
I mean, marketing, you talk about 5 Ps. And QCell come into the market. I did not see them using any of the 5 Ps except, 2, which is, the product and price. Yeah. And they've used, price so much, to their advantage, in such a way that I realize that there is no loyalty, in mobile, customers, because you see a big drift from other networks, people going, from the QCell, SIM card. What is responsible for that one? I think tariff is supposed to be a function of your cost. And if you design your tariff, based on any other parameter apart from cost and your profit margin you want to create, you may be shooting yourself in the foot. If somebody who comes and is very much smart to know exactly what is cost structure and come up with a tariff that meets the needs of the customer. And over time, if those existing players don't adjust their market, the pricing, they may soon lose a significant chunk of the revenue.
And what will you say would be your expectation about sustainability? Because we have had or seen new players into this industry, into the market, but they have not been able to sustain their operations in the market at all. Smart being an example, a typical example of those. Are we assured? Are you seeing any semblance of this trend continuing, that these new players coming into the market may start posing the continuous threats they have already started?
Basically, I don't have any...
And opening the competitiveness of the market.
I don't see any reference for smart mobile network. And take for example, Digitel. Digitel started in Sierra Leone, and that was the very first network. And they failed to realize the high cost of maintaining the network. And when they got to the point when they actually understand the cost of keeping a network, they realized that they could not stand the competition. Well, watch again. Tigo came. Tigo, I worked for Tigo in Tanzania, and Tigo apparently happens to be a multinational, a big time company, but they realized that coming to Sierra Leone when Africell and Commune came with very reduced tariff, they could not survive, and as a result of that they have to go. Yeah. QCell, what would I say? QCell, the Gambia, you check the internet, it's one of the leading mobile operators in the Gambia. And I believe they must have done the arithmetic correctly for them to come up with a tariff here. I remember Smart Network had I think about 40 sites across the country, and you're competing with the likes of Orange with over 200 sites, up to sell about 300 to 400 sites here. So with that one, the arithmetic just doesn't work. So because of that, they cannot establish themselves in the competitive market, and because of that they fall out here. And I don't know how many sites QCell has, but I've talked to people in the Bo, Kenema, McKinney, a couple of other places. There is a QCell presence there. So initially they've started very well. They've extended beyond the borders of Freetown, because it's not only people in Freetown who want to communicate. So I believe they must have studied the errors of other mobile operators who have failed, and I'm coming with a corrective package.
That was Reproductive Thompson, a telecommunications expert, speaking there to Patrick Salia. The Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Tonkolili District Council and other stakeholders in education have launched the distribution of the free core textbooks to secondary schools in the district. The ceremony took place at the Tonkolili District Council Hall in Maboroka. The chairperson of the Tonkolili District Council, Madam Yabum Sise, commended government for the provision of the core textbooks as part of major components of the free quality education program, pointing out that stakeholders of the district, they will closely monitor the proper utilization of all the books in the schools. The Deputy Director of Education, Yusuf Abdullahi Kamara, encouraged the school authorities to ensure that the books are properly used and once they are distributed to the schools and the pupils. Well, meanwhile in Freetown, Joseph Toure witnessed the distribution and now reports.
The distribution of the free quality education core textbooks, many say, will mitigate the challenge pupils face in enhancing quality education. According to the Acting Deputy Director, Western Urban District, Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Nana Bokari, they will distribute 5,533 cartons of core textbooks to junior and senior secondary schools within the Western area. She said they will work in collaboration with the local councils to ensure effective distribution and management of the books.
That is why we are handing these books to the principals, the head of school.
Okay.
They make sure that these books are secured, and then we are not giving them to go and keep them in the store. Let them distribute at once.
Moses Mokonte, principal for the Baptist Senior Secondary School, explains more on books handling.
Very, very much happy that such a gift has come to our pupils at a critical moment of our education in this country. In a very modest way, we have storage facilities to take care of the storage of these books. We have a little bit of problem of space, though. We only hope and pray that government intervention will come about to alleviate some of these accommodation problems.
Mr. Conte further noted that they will endeavor to engage parents on how to handle the books. Similar distribution was done at Divine Memorial Secondary School at Congo Cross in Freetown.
Now still on the distribution of the free textbooks, let's join our correspondent in Makeni, Hassan Fore Kamara.
Started as part of President Marabio's campaign message way back before the 2018 elections, and then made policy merely after he was elected in March, and it came into play in September 2018, the start of the academic year. So far so good, it is thriving well here at the Bombali district, and as a lot of people are actually embracing the initiative. What is happening here today is part of government's overwhelming effort, to successfully implementing the initiative of the free quality education, the launch of textbooks and of course teaching and learning materials for schools in the Bombali district. The hall is jam-packed with not only people who have come to see how the launch will be, but also stakeholders from chiefdom onto the local councils, both the Bombali district and the Makeni city councils. Of course, the stakeholders, the Parliamentary, actually throw their support that they embrace the initiative, and they will do their best to monitor it so that these books or these materials that are going to be distributed to schools are used adequately. And of course, the keynote speaker, who is the Deputy Minister of Justice, A.M. Bangura, actually said this is a national initiative that every Sierra Leonean needs to embrace for it to thrive well. He described education as the key to the development of any country, and that is what all of the other speakers emphasized on here today at the Bombali District Council Hall. Well, full fledged of the distribution will kick off on Wednesday, but today they are going to distribute some of these materials to 3 secondary schools here in Makeni. So far so good. It has well been received, and people are hoping to see a successful distribution and implementation of not only these books but every activity in the free quality education initiative.
A week ago, the Chief Justice of Sierra Leone, Desmond Edwards, released an internal memo informing all those that are trading within the premises of the court to stop with immediate effect. According to the Information and Communications Officer of the Judiciary, Moses Kamara, the memo by the Chief Justice is to create a conducive working environment at the court and create more space for official purposes. He spoke more to Aruna Patrick Kamara in this interview.
Actually, we want to make it clear that it is not that strict press release as people have tagged it, because we see it is making news on social media and we want to put the record straight. That is not a release, but it is an internal memo. Now, if you move around the court premises, you will discover that there are certain people who are engaged on trading, you understand, more especially selling food stuff, books, and other things. We want to see that is not nice for the court premises, and that is why the Chief Justice gave out that release, that MOU, internal memo, for staff to know and for those who are engaged in that activity to know that henceforth it should stop. That is, as from today, Monday, it should stop. That is the essence of the release.
So has it been, evolving into any kind of inconveniences for the work of the court?
Well, obviously, when the Chief Justice, that is Honorable Justice DB Edwards took office as Chief Justice, the first thing he did was a conducted tour. He called all his judges and myself as the official spokesperson. I was with him, and he was curious to have more space. And if we have the county, what he's saying, if we have the county, then there is no need for people to occupy space. Like in the other place under the extreme administrative building, the long building that you can see towards the Bank of Saloon, you'll discover that there is a big space which is occupied by people who are selling food stuff like bread, soft drink, and other things. We know they are useful, but it's like they are not as useful as the space that we need, because that particular space can be used for office that will occupy maybe 3 or 4 departments. So in other words, that will be used to reclaim more space. Now, if you go at the back of that building, just after the container, there is a space occupied by another person there. So that is what he is saying. He is saying, in as much as we need food because we are working, we have to eat, we need water, we need them around us, the canteen is there. It is not as a means of empowering the canteen. It is not as a means of asking people who have been earning their living within the court premises, but it is the fact that we need more space. And you know, we have been agitating for more judges. There is possibility that government will approve that we will have more judges. If we have more judges, we need more judicial staff. We need more professional staff. So if we get them, where do you think they will occupy? So the first thing he moved around to discover, where can we have space to put up structures? Where can we have space to make use of the structures that we have? And that's the essence.
So have you been receiving compliance from your colleagues internally?
Well, it is not the issue, because since the memo was issued out, was sent to those that are responsible. Mind you, the master is the head, administrative head of the institution. In other words, that's for the support staff, the clerk, the bailiff, and even those who are doing trading. So the memo was sent to him, he was copied, and I'm pretty sure also the traders, they are copied, they have stopped it. And the other reason is that it is not good for a court, you understand, in the premise of a court, for it to be seen as a trading ground. No, even within the vicinity. So even for those who are doing businesses out of the court premises, that back of the court between State House and the law court fence, you'll discover that they are no longer there. You understand? Those who are doing it around, they are no longer there. So it's unfortunate that our building is at the center of the capital city. But there are so many things that will distract the effectiveness of justice. Because if you see, there are certain times you do have demonstration within the court building. People, even though if it is not connected to the judiciary, you will see people will be passing around, beating, singing, you know, and we need to operate in a place where you have perfect decorum. So there was a time wherein, I think that was raised up by the Honorable Justice Brahman, to see how best we can talk to the police, that when it is court as those who are passing around, even the vehicles, they must ensure that they should not put their...
that is where I want to come in. Yes, there was a release informing all drivers of vehicles that are using this not to use their own whilst around the premises of the court. But we've seen that is happening now.
Actually, we don't have the power to stop drivers not to use this route or to observe whatever restriction that has to be made. That is why I said we have called on the Inspector General of Police long before now. I'm pretty sure the current Chief Justice will do also that as a follow-up mechanism to ensure how we can have a court that is quiet, a court that have a perfect decorum. So even when you ask questions to litigants, they will get what you say, they will understand, and they will be able to give the right answer. There are certain times we know questions has been asked, litigants cannot get it clearly, and they give wrong answer that will lead to conviction. So we are concerned. We are concerned, and that is why within our premises we have started taking the appropriate action under the new leadership.
That was Moses Kamara, Information and Communications Officer of the Judiciary of Sierra Leone. The Inspector General of Police, Dr. Richard Moigbe, has told the Parliamentary Committee on Internal Affairs that the withdrawal of state security at the residence of the former Vice President and leader and chairman of the Coalition for Change, Alhaji Chief Samuel Samsumana, was in accordance with the Pensions and Retirees Act, noting that he is not qualified. IG Moigbe was responding to questions following an invitation by Parliament. Let's join Ibrahim Samura for the details.
Do solemnly swear that the evidence I shall give before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
The Inspector General of Police was accompanied by his deputy and the legal retainer of the Sierra Leone Police. The meeting started in a closed door, asking journalists out of the meeting for some minutes. This did not go down well with some honorable members of the Coalition for Change Party and other committee members. The Inspector General of Police, Dr. Richard Moigbe, said the leader and chairman for the Coalition for Change Party and former Vice President Alhaji Chief Samuel Sumana was sacked and does not qualify him for any state security. He said that he could have been qualified if Chief Samuel Samsumana completed his second term as Vice President of the then government or had resigned.
The legal provision here is the pensions and benefit for retiring presidents and vice presidents, section 21, subsections 1 and 2 of 1986. So this is the authority. Now, yes, if the president, the sitting president, whilst in active service as provided for by the Constitution, or the vice president, they decide to resign, they are still entitled to those benefits as retired president or vice president. Or may God forbid, they become incapacitated by ailment for which they become dysfunctional in office, they are still entitled.
Dr. Moigbe said there are still state securities deployed to the former president and other former vice president, excluding Chief Samuel Samsumana, saying that they acted in accordance with the law.
When he became vice president, active vice president, he lost that status of retired vice president. You cannot be an active vice president and a retired vice president at the same time, no. So when he chose to go for a second round, automatically he lost that status. Yes, and he continued. And whilst in the second, so by them be and others, it was just one term and they were in office when Parliament dissolved, the government rise back, and they stopped at that. But sadly, along the way, we all know about it, he was relieved, he was sacked. So, he cannot benefit because he's not a retired vice president. And I even wrote that to him. I called him. I tried to explain to him the law. Because he called me, I saw his missed call, and I called him. And I took all the patience to explain to him that I'm telling this committee now. But he maintained a non-listening stance. That yes, he would not return his security because he's overqualified. There are one-term vice presidents who are benefiting. He went to second term, and he went to the ECOWAS court and won his case that in fact he's back in the country. He's been trying to see His Excellency President Bill, he should be benefiting from certain entitlements.
After the response of the Inspector General of Police to the committee, the Chief Whip of the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party, Honorable Dixon Rogers, did not allow any member of the committee or from the Coalition for Change Party to ask the Inspector General of Police questions, but said that they were satisfied with his explanations.
He had done justice to this parliament. If it were another person, he would say, oh, I'm going to bring the president. But the fact that he postponed the president's briefing to come to parliament, I think that's kudos to you, and I drop my hat to you for that. The fourth estate, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, the IG has explained the purpose of his invitation, and I think we are satisfied with the explanation. If there is any other thing, we have the Attorney General, Minister of Justice.
No, you are satisfied. We are not.
We have.
Don't say we are.
Attorney General.
You are. We are not.
And Minister of Justice.
Don't say we are.
Speaking to SLBC, leader of the Coalition for Change Party in Parliament, Honorable Emerson Salamina, and other honorable members of the party expressed their dissatisfaction over the outcome of the meeting, saying that they were not allowed by the committee chairman and chief whip of the ruling SLPP to ask questions describing the move as politically motivated.
The platform, we are dissatisfied. We are dissatisfied because at the end of the briefing, at least the chairperson for Internal Affairs Committee should have allowed a question or two from our platform to raise our concern.
They said their leader and chairman is qualified to be protected by state security, noting that Chief Sam Sumana served 7 years as vice president of Sierra Leone, which qualified him to have state security. The committee report is expected to be laid in the well by next sittings. It could be recalled that honorable members of the Coalition for Change Party raised the concern under Standing Orders 23 following the removal of the state security deployed to the leader and chairman of the Coalition for Change Party and former Vice President, Alhaji Chief Samuel Samsumana. Ibrahim Samura, Freetown.
China and Sierra Leone has pledged to work and uphold the principles of equality and mutual trust. The two countries have planned to work together to implement the 8 initiatives of the 2018 China-Africa Summit on multilateral issues. At the session, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation outlined progress made by the new direction government upon assumption of office 9 months ago. Rose Konima-Stevens reports.
The Foreign Minister, Dr. Ali Kaba, has held discussions with senior Chinese government officials, including the Vice President, Wang Qinxinye. Dr. Kaba and his Chinese counterparts discussed, among other things, the recent signing of a reciprocal visa exemption agreement in favor of diplomatic and service passport holders, cooperation in promoting trade and investment, climate change, tourism, cybersecurity and regional security to global governance, including the reform of the United Nations Security Council. Throughout the discourse, the two countries recognized the mutuality of support and cooperation they have enjoyed for nearly half a century, with Sierra Leone firmly standing by China, along with other African member states, in the United Nations for China to have a permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council. Both countries pledged to work together to implement the 8 initiatives from 2018 China-Africa Summit. Dr. Kaba used the opportunity to advance the common African position on the United Nations Security Council to address the historical injustice endured by Africa throughout its 70 years of existence. China reaffirmed its support for the common African position. Dr. Kaba outlined progress made by the government upon assumption of office 9 months ago. The minister extended a welcoming hand to China investors to invest in the country, as Sierra Leone still offers considerable possibilities for gainful investments in all sectors. The government of China commended the initiatives undertaken by President Julius Maada Bio since his ascendancy to the leadership of the nation and announced support for government's flagship programs and other priorities of the new direction. Among the areas identified for grant funding include the construction of the Foreign Service Academy, the provision of $35 million for the completion of the fiber optic project, construction of fishing harbor, the renovation of military barracks. The outreach continues to Hunan province. Reporting for SLBC TV, Rose Konima Stevens.
The former head of state, Valentine Strasser, is responding to treatment at the Hero Care Advanced Diagnostic and Heart Center in Accra. He sustained gunshot wounds while fighting against RAF rebels in the 1990s. The former head of state was flown out to Ghana on Thursday, the 10th of January 2019 for medical treatment. Well, Alpha Saidu Bangura, Western Region Outreach Coordinator, Strategic Communications Unit, Ministry of Information and Communications, spoke more about the health condition of the former head of state, Captain Valentine Strasser, to Sandra.
Valentine Strasser is in Ghana undergoing medical treatment. According to reports from Ghana, he is responding positively. He went through a major surgery, but it came out successfully, and they are now observing him. Very soon he would come back to Sierra Leone.
There was an issue of 9-hour surgery on his left foot. Can you just give us an update in terms of the medical aspect of the operation?
Yes, according to his doctors, he suffered some serious damages to his legs, both legs, and they had to go do that surgery to clear up the problems he had. It is my understanding that blood was not moving properly in his legs, so they had to go clear that. But that went on successfully. As I said, they did 9 hours surgery, and he's now doing extremely well. He's being observed to see how he would respond to that treatment, but he's responding positively, and I want to assure everybody that very soon he will return back to Sierra Leone.
Well, that was Alpha Saidu Bangura, Western Region Outreach Coordinator in the Strategic Communications Unit, Ministry of Information, speaking there to Salmata Ba. The Criminal Investigations Department has completed obtaining statements from all 15 officials of the opposition All People's Congress Party. Some members of the party, including legal representatives, were seen at the CID on Panemba Road in the company of the remaining 4 people whose statements were obtained on Monday. The University of Sierra Leone normally holds graduation ceremony for certificates and degree courses for students who have completed their courses in December every year. The ceremony has been held at the amphitheater for over decades. Between 2005 and 2006, it was once held at the National Stadium. The date for the next convocation ceremony has been scheduled for the 16th of February 2019. The convocation ceremony is expected to take place at the amphitheater. Munda Rogers is the public relations officer of the University of Sierra Leone, and he has been explaining more in this interview to Daphne Kemamakoli.
Been a delay, rather it has always been part of management's decision to see how best we can be able to graduate students.
But it was usually held in December, now it's January.
Yes, one can easily understand that, because even subsequent academic years we are lagging behind schedule owing to several factors, including, even as we can soundly remember, the Ebola time. So, you know, the time schedule for us to conduct congregation in December lapsed over the period of time, but we've been able to match up with the trend so that we can come back to normalcy, whereby our graduates will be part of the congregation every December. For this year, we are going to actually make sure that the backlog of our graduates are going to be cleared off, and we make sure that the next congregation we observe it in this December. So we're taking it to the National Stadium. It's a clear manifestation that we are very much concerned about our graduates who wants to go and secure jobs and also engage in doing other things, you know, in the country or even the world, as the case may be. So we want to get, I mean, all of the graduates out this year so that we can now get ourselves properly planned for December.
Now tell us why the change of venue, because the amphitheater has been expanded.
Yes, the amphitheater has been expanded, but the population of graduates, you cannot actually be accommodated Mark you, congregation these days has now been mad with lots of celebration because parents, guardians, and well-wishers, and even our distinguished guests at the end of the official part of the program normally, picnic around, so to speak. So taking it to the National Stadium and also bringing the graduates from 3 constituent campuses of the University of
You're saying the
Sierra Leone.
population has increased. Tell us exactly how many students will be convocated.
We are right now, we cannot spell out the number because registration is on course, and those would-be graduates are still trying to regularize themselves.
But you would have an estimated number,
well,
estimated figure.
Yeah, we cannot soundly estimate now, because the reason being that graduation is a whole process, and being the final process, we expect students to regularize themselves in the university, meaning those who have even borrowed books from the library, we are going to follow their records to see that those books are returned. Those who have not completed paying their fees, we make sure that they've completed paying their fees. Those who have fallen foul of any disciplinary standard of the university, we have to clean all of those records properly before about graduates there. So we cannot boastfully come out with a figure now, but as the number increases, we'll keep you informed about the total number of graduates come February 16.
How many colleges would be involved in this graduation ceremony?
The 3 constituent campuses of the University of Sierra Leone, including from the College, the Institute of Public Administration and Management, and the College of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences, are going to be part of this graduation ceremony.
That was the Public Relations Officer of the University of Sierra Leone, Munda Rogers, ending that interview with Daphne Kema Macaulay. The Director of Health Kids Initiative, Dr. Bintu Mansari, and a civil society activist, Sheku Foyo, have ended a lecture on the topic Sexual and Reproductive Health, Male and Female's Right to Information and Inclusion at the 50/50 office, Tower Hill. The aim of the lecture was to educate young girls on how they can prevent themselves from sexually transmitted diseases and other reproductive health problems. Francis Ndanema reports.
Reproductive health education is one of the teachings that is hardly done at home. Some families consider it as taboo. Even in some schools, students are not taught on their reproductive health system. The initiator and manager, the Ignition R, Aminata Khan Balde, said the process was initiated to ensure young people were well informed about their reproductive health so that they will remain healthy. She said the session will be held every week to ensure more young people benefit. Director of Health Kids Initiative, Dr. Bintu Mansari, called on the participants to do all they can to prevent themselves from sexually transmitted infections. She said condom use is the best method of preventing oneself from every type of STIs. She frowned at female genital mutilation practice, saying that 80% of women who undergo FGM develop complications. A human rights activist, Ambassador Sheku Foyo, said he had targeted parents, journalists, and duty bearers on the need to educate children about their reproductive health in the country. Ambassador Sheku Foyo expressed dissatisfaction over the request of sitting fees by parliamentarians before discussing sexual and reproductive health issues. President of 50/50 Women's Group, Fatou Taki, said the session was educative and encouraged participants to put into practice what they have learned. SLBC News, Francis Ndanema reporting.
The Deputy Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Demeke Mekonnen, has told President Bio that his country is ready to strengthen bilateral relationship with Sierra Leone. The Deputy Prime Minister said his government's first plan is to commence the Ethiopian airline flight operations to Sierra Leone.
The primary motive of the visit, among other things, was to deepen diplomatic and bilateral relationship between the two sister countries, says the Deputy Prime Minister of Ethiopia. The Minister of Information and Communications, Mohamed Rahman Souare, disclosed that he was honored to have chaired a high-level consultative meeting on bilateral cooperation between the government of Sierra Leone and the Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. Mohamed Rahman Souare stated that the two countries started diplomatic relations in 1970 when missions were established with the status of ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary. The Deputy Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Demeke Mekonnen, expressed his sincere appreciation to President Julius Maada Bio and the people of Sierra Leone for the kind hospitality accorded him and his entourage during their stay in Freetown. Demeke Mekonnen stated that his visit to Sierra Leone would not only deepen the already existing remarkable relations between the two countries, but would also create an excellent opportunity to establish strong ties in the social and economic sectors.
In addition, we are certain that there is a huge potential for further economic cooperation, which commensurates from our close historical and diplomatic relations. This is particularly crucial when Africa embarked on the economic integration agenda to achieve our development aspirations. Therefore, it is my sincere belief that greater emphasis should be given in persuading our business people to work closely and identify areas where we can build strong trade and economic partnership to make our cooperation more dynamic and fruitful.
He added that the two countries have worked hard in ensuring that the ties remained fabulous and strong. That was his dream for Freetown to soon be a spotlight for Ethiopia Airline. Demeke Mekonnen further explained that Ethiopia and Sierra Leone shared common global challenges such as poverty, climate change, child and drug trafficking. He said that strong cooperation between the two countries was needed to tackle some of those global challenges.
I have no doubt that Ethiopia and Sierra Leone have convergence of views on the global challenges that we are facing today, such as poverty, unemployment, climate change, terrorism, arms and drug trafficking. Strong cooperation is important to curb those challenges before they obstruct the vision of a better life for our people. It is my strong conviction that the discussion we have today will further enhance our shared vision of mutual cooperation, mutual economic growth, which is predicted upon ensuring development and partnership in all of common interest to the two countries and the people.
President Julius Maada Bio assured the Deputy Prime Minister that his new direction government does not know geographical and colonial boundaries that existed in people's mind, but that his government is here with a new direction.
What we are doing today is basically confirming or trying to establish proper relationships and as quickly as possible deepen those relationships and also go further to widen the relationship for the mutual benefit of our two countries. So for me, for a country of over 90 million people, we are only 7 million people. This is a great relationship. It is a strategic relationship that we've been looking forward to. It is an African nation, not only big in size, but also with a lot of history, as we know. It is home to the AU headquarters. But we have looked at what they have done in the past couple of years, and we think that we should follow in that direction. So we are here to establish and confirm those relationships and then follow those relationships for the good of our people.
Before meeting with the Deputy Prime Minister of Ethiopia at State House, President Julius Maada Bio, together with the Ministers of Lands, Housing and Country Planning, made an on-the-spot visit to Gloucester, where a land has been identified for the construction of a new State House and foreign embassies. SABC TV News are in Freetown. Hawamosiri reporting.
And now for some African news, a Kenyan court has ruled that there is enough evidence to charge 3 suspects in connection with the deadly attack on the Westgate shopping mall in the capital Nairobi in 2013, in which 67 people died. Ahmed Abdi, Liban Omar and Hussein Mustafa are set to be charged with conspiracy to commit a terrorist attack. Police believe the suspect sheltered the mall attackers in Eastling, in Mele Somali district in Nairobi. None of the accused are carrying out the attack itself. Magistrate Francis Andai freed the fourth suspect, Adan Diak, for lack of evidence. The magistrate said he will give reasons for his ruling, which has taken more than 4 years to conclude, at a later date. Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility of the attack that lasted 4 days and claimed it was retribution for Kenya's military presence in Somalia. The mall partially reopened in 2015 and since remained heavily guarded. Millions of children went back to school today in Guinea for the first classes in more than 3 months after teachers ended the strike action, reports AFP news agency. The teachers' union agreed a deal with the government 4 days ago over pay work conditions, AFP adds. The strike began at the start of October after teachers' unions SLECG accused the government of reneging on the terms of a previous deal guaranteeing a pay hike. The wage deal with the government should guarantee teachers a 40% pay rise, says AFP. The planned arraignment and prosecution of Nigeria's Chief Justice could not go ahead because he did not show up for the court case against him. The courtroom was full this morning as people waited to see Justice Walter Onogen attend the Code of Conduct Tribunal. He is accused of failing to declare his assets before taking office in 2017. Justice Onogen is quoted as saying that the problem arose from an administrative error. Lawyers representing Justice Onogen are contesting the powers of the tribunal and the case. They say due process has not been followed in bringing charges against the judge. 45 lawyers, senior lawyers, and over 100 junior lawyers were in court to defend the Chief Justice. Well, that's the roundup of the top African news. From the top African news, we move over to entertainment. Cassandra Wolf, popularly known as Sandra Baby, is a young singer from the East who started her career at the age of 10. Presently, she is working on her album and has released a new music video titled No Lose Hope. Our entertainment producer Mohamed King Milan Bangura engaged her in this interview with support from Millicent Lunge.
Sierra Leone is proud of talent that vary from music to drama, dance, culture, and even writing. In Freetown, most of those talents come from the east of the country. One such talent is a young singer, Cassandra Wolf, popularly known as Sandra Baby, who doubles as an actress. Sandra Baby started her musical career way back at the age of 10 when she did her first single titled Lion Boy. According to her, because of her age at that time, it was difficult for her parents to accept her God-given talent. She was also denied entry into some of the studios.
Never mind the difficulties I faced from my parents, and some studios I went to rejected me because I was young. They were thinking I don't have the potential to be who I wanted to become.
Sandra Baby did her primary schooling at the Sierra Leone International Mission Primary School and the Bishop Johnson Memorial Secondary School. At present, she is reading office administration at the CBS in Freetown. She said in the field of music she has her Sierra Leonean mentors like Famous, Nigga Don, Lady Vida, and Lady Felicia. Her foreign mentor is Celine Dion, whom she considered as a role model. She later came in contact with a talented sound engineer, Paul Parkinson, who helped her greatly in her singing skills and vocal control. With all of her time in the music field, one wants to know how popular she is.
Wow, I'm popular anyway. I'm well known by the people in the East and the provinces than the West.
Sandra has done a couple of singles with different artists and has never released an album, but according to her, it's high time her fans got a taste of her album. She's at present putting final touches on her first album and promises her fans it's going to be a superb album. Sandra Baby has done her first musical video titled No Lose Hope from the upcoming album, which tells that one should not give up in life and disappointment is part of everyday life.
No lose hope, one day you better go come. No lose
Not lose hope. They talk about somebody. Not lose hope is talking about someone who has been discouraged in life. I will say 20%. I see myself in the song. It's talking about basic things that are happening in people's life. If I decided to go out in the street to preach about it, people won't listen to me, so I decided to put it into a song. In the music.
Sandra is presently working on more videos, and she promises those videos will be classic. To our fans across the country, she has this to say.
Well, I want to tell people that they must stay focused. Sandra baby is on her way coming, and you who have no hope, don't lose hope. Human being is not God. Just keep your head. Don't be lazy. Try and work hard. One day you will make it. One day you will make it. You will find. No lose hope. One day you better go come.
Many thanks indeed to Mohamed Kemilan Bangura for putting together that report. We now move over to Esther Mari Samura for the latest in sports.
It's a hearty welcome to Sports Update on News Hour. In this edition, Veterans Expo has won the Veterans Unite tournament sponsored by Ahmed Sasso, former Easter Lions and Old Edwardian player. Veterans Expo defeated Bufil's Veterans by 4 goals to 2 in a post-game penalty shootout. The final was staged at the Siaka Stevens Stadium main bowl in Freetown. Here is a report. Veteran players have since 2017 enjoyed the opportunity to meet and play football at the Siaka Stevens Stadium, thereby reminding them of their days as active players. This year's Veterans Unite Football Gala targeted 10 veteran clubs in the Western area, with Bufil's Veterans and Veterans Expo making it to the finals. Before that final encounter, female players from the East played against Western Combined in a friendly match, and the Western Combined squad won by 2 goals to 0. The inspection before the commencement of the original match of the day between Bufil's Veterans and Veterans Expo was done by football administrators and other veteran players, and kick-off taken by the Minister of Sports, Ibrahim Yelenke. It was an interesting encounter with many tackles and display of skills by these former national players. The match ended in a goalless draw in the due regulation time. During the post-game penalties, Chinio Parade sealed the match with the last shot for Veterans Expo to close up for victory against their Bufil's counterpart. Tamba Moses, head coach of Veteran Expo, said they won the match as a result of their preparedness.
Well, I felt so excited because my job was at stake. We are the current champion. Understand? We won this tournament last year. So I told my team, they're all prepared. I told them I want to win the cup back to back. So we were together because of the togetherness, the unity and love amongst all of us.
Some stakeholders and players received awards for their outstanding performance in the gala. Sponsor of the gala, Ahmad Sasso, explains how he hopes to put more premium in the next edition, as this for him and others ended successfully.
It's just a belief. You know, when you believe in something and you mean something from the heart, you will be successful. Well, what we do is we always look at the budget. I always budget myself. If I have enough for 8, I do 8. If I have more than 8, I do 10. And for next year, if I get more support, I can increase it. That has been talked about. We are actually hoping the next one, we'll try to get 1 or 2 provinces. If not, we can have a national team that will tour the provinces. It's all about finance. If we get the financial support from others, then I think we'll be able to expand.
In attendance were Honorable Cherno Ramadan Majuba, Minister of Sports Ibrahim Yelenke, one-time Deputy Minister of Defense Joe Blair, to name but a few. A trophy was handed to Veterans Expo as winners of the football gala. Esther Marie Samora, SLBC TV. The 50 Millions football competition organized by Kafubulum Sports promoters ended in violence despite warnings from the country's Vice President Dr. Mohamed Julde Jallo, who was a guest of honor. The match at the Central Playing Field in Lungi was between Fobe Community Football Team and Lamboy FC. Details of that story will meet you in a subsequent program. That's all for sports tonight. I am Esther Marie Samwa. Thanks for watching.
Many thanks indeed, Esther Marie Samura, for the latest in sports. Now to end the news, the main points again. A 42-year-old man has been sentenced to 10 years in prison for sexually penetrating a 13-year-old girl. Distribution of free court textbooks has commenced, and the Chief Justice Desmond Edward has banned trading within the court premises. Well, that's all in this edition of News Hour broadcast live on the SLBC. Thanks for watching. My name is David Patrick Kamara. Bye for now.